Hello everyone, welcome to this video series on Databricks security best practices. The goal of this video series is to help customers establish Databricks as the most trusted and secure lakehouse platform. As part of this, we have published short videos on various security topics around Databricks platform. Today's topic is about Databricks access control. My name is Hari Selvarajan and I work as a specialist solutions architect at Databricks. I specialize in platform and security and I have been with Databricks for 1.5 years. I'll be presenting today alongside my colleague Ed Bullen. If you need more information on Databricks security, you can reach out to the Security and Trust Center on our website and find all the relevant information. Now I will pass over to my colleague Ed to give an overview of this topic.
Thanks, Harry. My name's Ed Bullen. I'm a senior solutions architect at Databricks. I'm based in London, UK, and I specialize in working with customers in the financial services sector. So when you introduce a new technology such as Databricks into your organization, you need to create a security model that maps technical privileges and security entitlements to your organization's operational model. This is generally true for any significant technology service, not just Databricks. For large organizations, it's not practical to apply privileges on a person-by-person basis. Instead, people are classified with different roles in the business, such as analyst or developer, and then everyone in each class is given the privileges appropriate to that role. This makes it simpler to ensure appropriate governance and controls are applied, and everyone can perform their jobs effectively, finding a good balance of applying principles of least privilege. To this effect, we've created a simple model for mapping people, groups, and identities in your organizations to a small set of predefined persona types. This includes an example of 6 personas, which can be copied and adjusted to suit whatever different groups exist in your business. In this video, we'll take you through mapping the appropriate technology privileges for Databricks to each of the persona groups that you choose and standardizing and automating the process in your organization using Terraform. Before starting on this project, we did some market research to see how other vendors approach this problem. And what we saw was a common pattern in that everybody followed the same general approach of using roles to apply sets of privileges to users. However, one thing we noticed was that the examples we saw had an issue in that they were very specific to the technical functionality of the product, with things such as compute operator or registry user, rather than what the user actually did in their job role. So similarly, there was no guidance on how to map these roles to a particular persona, such as a data scientist, which would make more sense from a real-world situation when you need to set up your platform security. This is what formed the approach that we've taken, defining personas that apply to business function, not a technology operation. Now, I'm going to hand you back to Harry, who's going to take us through the detail of how to apply this in your environment.
Thanks, Ed. Let's understand what are the different personas we typically have in a Databricks platform. On the left, you see around 6 different personas we have. And on the right, you see the various different workspaces which are currently available within the Databricks platform. Now, for example, as a data engineer, you would be using notebooks for developing your code, writing your ETL pipelines or streaming pipelines. You would need access to a cluster to be able to submit and run your notebooks. As a data engineer, you also would need access to create jobs or DLT pipelines to run your code. So these are the typical workspace objects a data engineer would need. Similarly, a data scientist is someone who would need access to notebooks to create his training code, and he or she might need access to experiments to create training experiments and also to publish his model on ML models workspace object. And another example would be as a SQL analyst. An analyst is someone who needs access to do data analysis. So he or she is someone who would need access to a warehouse to run queries or also to create some dashboards or alerts. So these are the different workspace objects which different personas might need access to. And what you see in the center is the various different kind of permissions which are available within the platform. For example, for a cluster, you can give an attach to or a manage permission. So similarly, there are different permission combinations for different workspace objects. So what we need to do in this exercise is to be able to classify the different personas, what kind of workspace objects they need access to and what level of permissions they need on these workspace objects. To this effect, we have come up with a template approach for workspace permissioning. This basically works on a three-level permissioning model. The first level is the permission by ownership. As a user of the platform, whether I'm a data engineer or a scientist, any objects which I create, I become the owner of that object, and I become the full permission owner of that object. I can give permissions to other users as well. For example, notebooks that we create. But at the same time, that person will not have access to the objects created by other users. This is the first level of permission you inherit, which is permission by ownership. The next level of permission is called custom access control. The best example for that is access to a clusters. So if you have a workspace where there are a team of different data engineers working together and they need access to their respective clusters within the platform, as a Databricks workspace admin, you could give access to cluster A to data engineering team A, and so on for different teams and different cluster combinations. So this way, a group has access to only their respective cluster and not for all the clusters. So this is where a custom access control comes into picture. The last one is a group access control, which is what the matrix which you see on the right talks about. It basically tells you the various different workspace objects which are available as columns on the top and the different personas as rows. And what we have recommended here is the kind of permissions each persona needs on each workspace object. This is not hard and fast rule. Customers can choose to change this according to their own company compliance policy. These access permissions generally become least restrictive in the development environment and becomes more restrictive as you move to production. Let's understand this with an example. So this is the matrix. If we talk about a data engineer role, by default, a data engineer would have access of the ownership. That means any notebooks he create, he or she would have access to manage that. A data engineer would also be given a cluster through the custom access role. Apart from that, as part of the group access control, a data engineer might need access to jobs and DLT pipelines because they need to know which jobs they need to schedule their notebooks into. They may be writing notebooks which are populating tables which are used by different dashboards. So a data engineer would need access to run a dashboard, all the different dashboards which are in the dev and UAT, but maybe just a view permissions on the production. Another example, if we talk about a data scientist, again here, a data scientist need access to notebooks to train his code. But then a data scientist would also need access to all the different experiments or models available within the workspace so that they can reuse some features if it is useful for them, or they could also look at the different metrics or tuning parameters other data scientists have used. So this is where custom access control comes into picture. Now there are various different ways you can automate this. We recommend using Terraform to automate this. If you need more details on this topic, we have written a detailed blog on databricks.com/discover pages/access control. If you come to the page, you'll see various different sections. Like in the proposal overview, we talk about the different personas which I just spoke. And if we can go further down, you will see details of each persona, what kind of operation they do, and what kind of permission they need. If you go down to the end, under technical implementation, you will also find a code example of how we have implemented using Terraform support role personas on using the group template. Now, this is a short summary of how you implement access control using the three-level permissioning model. Now, I will hand over to Ed for the closing.
Thanks, Harry. So just to recap, what we presented here is a simple method to deploy a Databricks Lakehouse platform and map your security operating model into a Databricks configuration. The example Terraform template in the blog article that Harry introduced can be extended and used to simplify the implementation and automate the provision of the correct privileges on the different resources. Just scroll down to the technical implementation section of the blog and you'll see the example code there. With this standardized approach and mapping persona groups to different sets of resource privileges, it makes it easy to automate and manage the onboarding and full life cycle of user management through to job role changes and offboarding in large enterprises. As a platform administrator, you can quickly and easily secure the platform for all your different classes of users and manage your configuration in source control with a minimum effort. Thank you very much. We hope you found this video useful and interesting. You can find the links to the blog article we referenced and other material in the description section of the video.
Thank you.